This is Red Manili, CEO and founder of On Track Biking. This is our final stakeholder report. All right, so the review of performance for Q4 through Q6. Starting out in Q4, we were doing fairly good, and we pretty much ended Q6 doing fairly good as well. For total performance, as you can see, we hit about 2.5. The maximum was 3.8, so we was hitting around the average point. But for financial performance, we were at the maximum, close to the max for market performance, and the same goes for marketing effectiveness. Moving into Q5, we actually dropped a little, and that was from the lack of purchasing on the 3D printer, so that caused us to not hit demand as much as we would like to. But financial performance, we weren't that far off, even though we weren't able to convert as many sales as we would like. We had 3.7 and the maximum was 4.5. Market performance, as you can see, we got a 0.17. Marketing effectiveness, we actually have some really good ads and ad judgment in Q5, so our marketing effectiveness is fairly high. And then we did do a lot of investment in the future with R&D and a lot of investment into. We did the 2.5 million in Q4 investment into from venture capitalists into our stock. That's been adding to our wealth. We also been letting some money sit and accrue in our CD account as well. Moving into Q6, our total performance is around 11.86. There were a lot of things that we could have done better. We were close to the minimum for that quarter. I think we maxed out our fixed capacity at like 55 units per day. We only able to produce about 56. That in Q3 we didn't order any printers, and that kind of halted us a lot moving out these last couple quarters. We weren't able to invest as much into fixed capacity as we liked, just due to us wanting to avoid having to take a bank loan and things like that. But still with the financial performance, we had a 54, and the highest is a 74. Market performance, we are at the lowest, the minimum, and a little above minimum for market effectiveness. Our market share did decrease. We didn't have any available funds to go into investing and broaden our variety when it comes to biking. But we did do some investment into the future. I think we purchased like 11 gear shift and some other things like that to help boost the brand reliability and just appeal. And then as far as our wealth is the minimum because we didn't do much investment into stock the following quarters. And yeah, moving on to our conscious scorecard. So we did do the employee survey in Q2. We found back, we do all our quality inspections as far as environmental concerns. We took the step to invest there. Same with the environmental concerns. We did the retrofit in Q6, the separate rooms and the respirators and clothing in Q5. And then we did the clean room in Q4. So that's been up and running since then. For our quality control, we invested that into Q4. Supplier relationships, we invested that in Q5 and Q6. Health, we did a lot of investment into health. We did the health clinic for the employees and their immediate families. We did the fitness center and the daycare as well in Q5 or Q6. And then for Good Neighbor, we did some investments in the grant program, like the bike trails, the grants for the learning experiences at the schools. But there were some things that we weren't able to actually hit. They said we still were having some types of chemicals into our water supply and things like that. So moving forward, we are looking to do more investments into system improvements to make sure those things would not be an issue anymore. Moving on to strategies. For our marketing strategy in Q4, we decided to release a new speed bike. We called it the Vet, and we also did some modifications to our recreational bike and our mountain bike as well. And then we and started to do some rebates, not nothing too crazy, but we wanted to kind of show like a price dominance with our bikes. So that's why we have the vet priced at 1580, no rebate. We have better mods and things like that for that bike, so we want to get the full what we can get for that. And then for the speed racer, since the vet is a little bit better than that bike, we have it priced a little bit cheaper than that. The same kind of follows for the following quarters. In Q5, we did some modifications to every bike. We did the enriched carbon fiber, sustainability projects, and other things like that in order to increase brand judgment, reliability, and things like that. We also released an off-road mountain bike, and kind of did follow the same suit as the vet and the speed racer thing. We do like a $10 rebate on the Slayer now since we have the off-road bike in production. And then we did a $15 rebate on the recreational bikes. We're kind of starting to steer away from that being our dominant target market. Moving on into our sales strategy. In Q4, we opened up a store in Rio. We only put 5 employees there. Q5, we opened up another store in Bangalore. But in Q5, we that's when we maxed out our fixed capacity. So we decided that if we didn't stock any employees there, we would save money on salaries, but also save money when it comes to like excess inventory and things like that. Um, Moving forward, we was going to use the money accrued from our following quarter or previous quarter to invest into fixed capacities and hire employees in order to increase demand and everything that follows along that. Human resource strategy. So we are about second, I believe, for production. When it comes to satisfaction, we are decided to do 11,500 for salary, full coverage, 2 weeks vacation, 2% of pension, and then that was Q4. Q5 we increased it to 13,500, expanded coverage, and then increased pension. For Q5, not Q6, I'm sorry, we left it about the same. We felt like that was a good thing moving forward. Our productivity was about 86% without overtime, just based on salaries and incentives and things like that. So we felt like that was a good number to kind of go with until we feel like we could increase it some more. And the other, as you can see over here as well, this is just a breakdown like over the last 3 quarters of what productivity looked like for us. We have increased, it has increased as we increase salaries. And we also seen that because of the fixed capacity that we lacked in Q5, we made that up with 2 hours in overtime. So it did bring our productivity, but it's still way above average. And it helped us cut out some of those stockouts and things like that. Our manufacturing strategy for Q4. So yeah, our problem here was we were always kind of underestimating demand a little bit. Not so much in this quarter. In the next quarter, a little more. It's more prevalent. But as you can see, we was estimating about 78 sales per rep. So about 1,400 units. We didn't get any printers before this quarter, so we did have our projections pretty low. But we did decide to invest into 2 printers in Q4. In Q5, as you can see from last quarter, they actually had 130 opposed to the 78 we were thinking. But we didn't have any capacity to really increase as much, so we only were able to do 131, and we made that up with 2 hours of overtime, and we bought 2 more printers for Q6. In Q6, we bought another 2 printers to hopefully make up for the 2 that we didn't buy in Q3. But we're looking to probably just buying 4 printers 1 quarter in order just to make sure and ensure that we have enough moving forward. Our financial strategy. So as you can see in Q4, we grossed about 1 million, Q5 1.9, and in Q6 it was 3 million. So we are increasing with revenues. Our investment in R&D wasn't as much in Q6, but it was averaged out to about 1.5 for Q4 and 5. But we were actually able to break a 1.3 million in profit at the end of Q6, bringing our earnings share up to $26 as well. And then for our cash flows, kind of the same things we invested 480 over the last 3 quarters, or each quarter over the last 3 quarters, to kind of make up for that um deficiency. And then we also basically ended the quarter with about 2 million in cash. We didn't invest any into common stock over the last 2 quarters, which I feel like we probably should have. Now that I'm looking at it, but um, we also had 100,000 that we invested into our CD account in Q5, and we withdrew that just to make sure we had enough money to cover operational expenses going into Q6. Assessment of performance, most of the actions taken are in alignment with the initial business plan. The only thing that really changed was changing Mountain from our secondary target market to speed. And then a positive event that happened was our growth in demand, growth in revenues, and eventually being able to hit that 1.3 in profit. And then a negative would be our fixed capacity. For achievements, like stated, we did hit at least a 1 million in profit. In Q6, we generated more than $4 million in sales. And every quarter, our scorecard has been balanced and is slightly improving and steadily improving. So slowly but surely, we will be a dominant force in the industry. Strengths and weaknesses. So our strengths will be brand judgment. We have at least a 90 for brand judgment. Enhanced employee and productivity and morale. Like stated, with the increased salaries, our productivity was about 86 before overtime, 83 with overtime, and employee morale was about 78 per. It's about a 78 per 100. Marketing and advertisement, that's more so a middle ground for us. It's not bad, but it could be better. We didn't put as much money into social media and paid marketing, and as well as like the major media outlets and things like that. So if we could have allocated more money to those areas, we probably would have been able to convert and increase revenues even more than what we've seen. And then some of our weaknesses, I would say, would be estimating demand. This is a screenshot from Q5. We had 55 units, and the face capacity that we had was 56, and we needed at least 55 to hit. But after productivity, it was about 45. With the 2 hours of overtime, I think we hit about, 52. So we were still under where we needed to be. And then basically on top of that, just sustaining operational capacities moving forward. Excuse me. Preparation for the future, we are looking to invest more into R&D to continue to make sure our bikes are meeting what the customers are looking for. More money into advertising and marketing, more money into manufacturing capacities, and paying production employees, paying our sales reps, and paying our production and supervisors, and investing more money into system improvement just to make sure that we got all those errors and concerns handled moving forward. Some lessons learned is one mistake in business can hurt a lot of areas. So it's really kind of crucial that you sit down and actually take the time to make sure that everything that is happening, all decisions that are being made are the best ones to the extent of which you can perceive at the moment. But another thing would be the areas that is required when running a business. Since I did do this project myself, I had to learn every single aspect, and I think that was a plus for me because that allowed me to get like hands-on, one-on-one overview of every area when it comes to running a corporation and moving into entrepreneurship after graduation. I feel like it's key for me. And then the last thing I feel like I learned from this class is the type of decisions that needs to be made in order to maintain a successful status. Because starting out, we were the dominant force in market share, and then in Q6 we had like second to smallest. So it's a lot of things that go into it when it comes to decision making. Just because you have an increase in revenues don't mean that you're doing the best out of your competitors. So just things like that and making decisions that allow for mistakes, but also allow for recovery as well. But I'm Reg Neely, the CEO of On Track Bikes. Thank you. This is my